So, hello everyone. I am going to use internet a lot, so hopefully it will work because we have some troubles in the morning. But yeah, so can you hear me? All right. So smartass. So can you introduce me? Okay, so as Peter said, my name is Richard, and I'm going to talk about ChatOps. I will be chatting a lot, so hopefully you are not going to be bored. I hope you did have your coffee so you don't fall asleep. If you have some questions, you can find me on Twitter. I would love to hear your feedback. What is ChatOps? All right, so this is quite. Can everybody see that, by the way? Yeah, okay. So yeah, this is quite a long definition. Yeah, ChatOps is process of putting tools and information in the center of the conversation. So what is meant by that? In other words, I would say it's a different interface for DevOps. So what it means is that you can use your chatbot to do and execute scripts and everything you have on your servers, but doesn't have to be only DevOps. In my opinion, it could be used also for different types. We use it with the sales and kind of stuff I will show you later on. So yeah, we have let's. Okay, so we can use this chat to help manage projects. So yeah, this. Okay, so this is open source project we are working on in Slovak Python user group in Bratislava, and its main purpose is to teach people program and teach people Django. So and we decided to have a project that is like used somewhere, because we didn't want to teach them just something and they have the knowledge, but they cannot put it in a CV. So we decided to use this project during the Pike Alaska conference. So yeah, people who participate on this project can put it on their CV. So they have like real work experience. So yeah, you can check it out. And as mentioned earlier, you can participate as well if you want to. So. So yeah, and I'm happy to announce that we already have a date for Pike Alaska, which will be again in March in Bratislava. So I do hope we will see you there. So how can you use this bot to help you with something? As you can see, the Django Confera is open source project, and there is fairly good amount of people participating on it, but not everybody have access on a server. So let's say they put something in a GitHub repo and it's pulled on a server, but they don't see the changes. So you can use. I think you are familiar with this command. So you can use manage.py, and the chatbot is going to execute these commands for you. So let's say right. So let's say I want to see if my migration has been executed. If not, I could do manage.py migrate, and it would execute it. Or I don't know. You can run some tests. Okay, so it will take a while, but essentially it will run. So this is one way how you can use bots to help you. So I can show you. Yeah, so as you can see, we have some failed tests. So yeah. All right. So, but ChatOps is something that you cannot install. It's a process. It's not a product. It's a process, and most likely the process is different for each and every one of us because we do have different server setups. We do have everything different. So why would anyone Okay, so all right. I will get to this module later on, but I think we can. Well, the question is why you should implement ChatOps is that it's open. With the open, what I mean that everyone sees everything. So when you have this is chat one-on-one, but if you implement it in a group chat like Slack or I don't know, something else, everybody who is in the room essentially is seeing what's happening there. So if I execute migrations, everybody in the room is notified at that very moment that migrations has been run, it has been successful, or it doesn't. So that brings me to different points, sharing. So everyone is pairing at the same time. So if you work in a company, sometimes you might be doing pair programming, which is really good because one person is learning from another person. And with the ChatOps, this is helping because if somebody new is there and I can type some command in the command line and he essentially sees it, so he knows. So essentially we are paired at the same time. And I believe by teaching by making, so what it means is that we just don't talk about how we do things, but we start making them and we do them, and that's another benefit because you can just execute something and people would immediately see it. So are there any other benefits? All right, so the other benefit is that you have unified interface. With unified interface, what I mean is that let's say you have monitoring setup, so you have your Zabbix, Nagios, or whatever, and somebody has to go and search, and if you ever did monitoring and you log into the Zabbix for the first time, it might be scary, especially for the beginners. So now you can, if you implement it right, you can do list alerts, and the Jabberbot would pull all your alerts. Even if you have, let's say, GitHub, so you can check the issue status on the GitHub, so you have the unified interface for everything. The other benefit is that you have mobile support by default. So I guess everybody has a mobile phone and is using some kind of chat application in there. I used to work in the UK and to have an ability to use a chatbot. It really was great because it helped it support remote workers, so everybody feel on board. So you immediately know what's going on, and you can be your own customer. What I mean with that is, so let's say we are all developers here, so you build an API. So first, in my opinion, first thing what you should do once you build the API, you should build something that connects to your API. And in this case, it might be a chatbot or might be something different. But yeah, yeah, that way you are using the API as the client, as the user, as the another programmer would do. So you can feel how would he feel, and you could improve it, and you could see something you didn't have in mind when you designed it. So. Okay, so how should I start implementing? As I mentioned earlier, learning by making. So if you break stuff, that's fun, and you might learn something along the way. But honestly, my advice would be that you pick up some bot. There are several of them available. I think most known one is a HuBot, which is a GitHub. It's written in JavaScript. So yeah, there is one R2, which is a Python one, and I use this one, which is Ludolf, and I have created by myself with a friend. There is a yeah, but let's back to the implementing. So the good thing is that everybody has some scripts, and you are executing them. So it's good if you could connect them, let's say, to your Jabberbrot, and all right, I will show you the command line. It might be more interesting. So let's say we have, all right. Okay, we have a slow connection. All right, so maybe not. Essentially, what I wanted to show you is that with the Jabberbrot, you can easily execute command line commands. And I had really funny thing, but unfortunately the internet does not want me to show you. All right, so never mind that. Yeah. So what I would say is that the conversation is the force that lets people work together and create new things. So that's why I think the ChatOps is good, and it's important because it's foundational to all human process to move forward. And with the ChatOps, you can have more distributed teams that can cooperate more easily, and you can help people to get along much more faster, even though you never met them before. So. Yeah. Essentially, all right. So with this bot, what I have prepared my backups if the internet will not work. So if you would like to build a plugin in a Python, it's really easy, because you just define the class, and to define the a command, it's just a decorator, and you just put Python code in it. So if we say hello world, so it's all right. I mean this. Yeah. So essentially, creating a command, it's just a decorator, and you just put some Python code in it. All right. So we have respawned back from the robot, and as you can, no. it's here. So it's hello world. So yeah, as you can see, it's really, really easy to create. So as a Python programmer, you can get up to speed very quickly and do stuff. Let's say you want to connect to the third-party API, which is Open Weather. So you will just do it by a few lines of code. You might be interested with this thing that is answering me. It's machine learning chatterbot, which is another interesting open source project. And with the Ludolf, it was very easy to implement it. It's just I can show you. It's just a few lines of code, and when you can just provide him with the corpuses that are basic English conversation, and he will start learning immediately, and he will reply to you. We have a funny story with that. In our company, we had a salesperson who always was asking the developers, has this person ever logged to the system? When did he log in last time? So we use this chatterbot, and we connect to our API, and it took him like a week or so to realize that he's not talking to the real person. Yeah, essentially, if anyone from you is on Jabber, I have prepared this one bot. You can connect to him, and it's and you can have a conversation with him. Essentially, to train him, you can just load some prepared corpuses. You can find quite a lot of them, and some really interesting on the internet. So you can have like serious conversation about life and death, or or something along those lines. Yeah. So. Right, so and yeah, you can teach the bot. So if you should take anything from this talk, is that I would say that if you can think of ChatOps, it's like a way of combining things, how to get done in a more human way. So you can interact with your colleagues, with your coworkers. However, ChatOps doesn't happen overnight, so it's not something you can install. It's something you have to work on, and you have to improve it or make a match on your specific needs. So there are several stages, I would say. Well, you can use. If you use Slack or HipChat or something like that, there is pre-built support for a lot of third-party applications like GitHub. But when you start using it, you will quickly realize that most of the time it's just one way. It will just notify you that somebody push something into the repo, but while you wanna have more things, you wanna have an interaction. So chat is a two-way thing, so it's duplex. So you have to it's not enough. So that's why you might start to have a need for a bot, and the bot could let's say create any issues on a GitHub. So it's a long story, but it really is depending on you and your needs. So yeah. I hope that you liked it, and it's shame that my internet connection, yeah. you could see the password there, but that's fine because this is just the bot for this presentation. And yeah, I wanted to show you this funny. Okay. I wanted to show you this funny thing, which all right, so yeah. Let me disconnect and connect again. Okay, so now, as I mentioned earlier, that you can really easily do stuff that you can with your bot execute script. So when we have building this Ludolf, by the way, it's called Ludolf because it was originally running on the Raspberry Pi. In my case, I purchased my Raspberry Pi in 2012, and I was behind the internet service provider that didn't give me a public IP address, so I was figuring out how could I connect to the Raspberry Pi from the remote. So that's why I figured it out that I should use something that's available, and in that time it was Chat, and it allowed me to execute commands on the remote machine. However, yeah. Well, yeah, I need help too. It's unfortunate that I prepared something that's really heavily dependent on the internet, and I cannot connect, so. Well, so long story short, I guess we can have more open discussion, or we will have I guess, longer coffee break, because since I'm not able to execute any commands, I cannot show you. However, for those of you who are online and could chat to this Jabber bot, by the way, who knows the Jabber? Who is using the Jabber? All right, so well, it's not that bad. So you can make a friend from this robot if you are online. It's running in the Solaris zone. I will keep it running, and you have the pass-through mode, so you can play with that virtual machine and try to execute commands there. Yeah, and yeah. Yeah, I think I'm on the internet, but the latency is really terrible for me because yeah. Yeah. So I guess yeah, if I'm not able to show the things, I can go to the questions, and you will probably have to have a longer break. Sorry for that. Możesz ty. Okay. Okay, so isn't it a large security vulnerability? Or why? Okay, so yeah, I think I will read the first question that has more likes. It depends. Well, you can always use an OTR, which is off the record chat, and you can have encrypted chat with your bot. That's one thing, and the other thing is it's a Jabber bot. It will only execute what him allow you to. So when I wanted to show the pass-through mode, it was just for fun. You don't want to do that in a production. But let's say you have a server and you have like a set of Ansible scripts. So you can allow this bot execute these Ansible scripts for you and update remote servers or whatever is needed. So if you use it wisely, I wouldn't consider it as unsecure. Well, but it really depends on what you are doing. It's the same thing as if you would open SSH to the public with no password, then yeah, of course you are vulnerable. But you can, if you use your scripts wisely, then I think it's okay. So try RMRF maybe. I think that will not work because the Jabberbot is running on the non-privileged user, and you will have no privileges for doing that. So yeah, if you log in Linux or whatever as a user that doesn't have right to do that, so you won't do that. Is the main reason to use chatbot instead of good old shell? For example, as I mentioned, we have an open source project, the Django Confer, on which we are working on, and there is quite a lot of people working on it, and they either not necessarily know how to use shell, or we don't want them to execute commands on the server, because since this is all programmed, you can program it in a way that they are only allowed to do something, and if they do something wrong, the program would correct them how to do it rightly. So yeah, is there any Slack bot? Yes, there are. There probably are. It really depends what do you mean by Slack bot. If you mean applications and communication, Slack communication with the third-party apps, yes, there is a lot of them. There is a huge of them, but when we are talking about bot, I think it should be two-way communication. So you should interact with the bot, that he should be able to answer you in a way. So let's say pull a graph from monitoring or something along those lines. So I think you would end up in writing your own if you end up. So what happens if you make the chatbot taking to ChatOps 1? What happens if you make chatbot talking ChatOps 1? Sorry, I don't understand what is meant with this question.
Can the asker clarify? No? Okay, next one. He's shy.
Would it be more secure to only output to a chat while initiating the process through other ways? Yeah, we already discussed this. You could always SSH to the server. The ChatOps is not meant to replace SSH. It's just another tool in your toolbox to help you work with it. And if you are working with a larger team or with the people who are maybe just learning stuff, then maybe the SSH is not. Well, yeah. Then I think if you do it via the chat, it's easier for the people to learn. So, are you able to communicate with your chatbot even without? Well, if you have the Jabber, you can try to chat to the bot. I have already mentioned the plugin called there is a chatter bot, and it's machine learning stuff. So it essentially is counting the answers you put to the chatbot, and it's picking up the right answer. So. Sometimes the chatbot answer you silly, but the more you talk to him, the more he is learning. So yeah, well. Yeah, Ludo, yeah, permission denied. Oh, you probably try to execute some command that is just for the admin, so then that's why you get the permission denied error. That's probably someone who is going to try to talk to the bot. There are certain commands in the bot, and there is some built-in permission system, so you can execute just some of the commands, and yeah, you probably hit the one that you are not allowed to do. What if the bot comes alive? Yeah, well, then. Actually, if you noticed, Google have started a new service, Google Hello, and that is also a bot. Most probably that's some neural network behind the bot, and it's scanning through your conversation that you have with someone, and it acts as your personal assistant. So yeah, they are trying to make the bot alive. So yeah, I think we are getting there. Not this one. This is just the silly bot. But yeah, if there are people that are working on the bots very hard that should that would act as alive people. So if you try Google Hello, I think it's called the service, and I think it will replace Hangout in the near future. Then yeah, you might have an almost alive bot. Why don't you use SSH to all the things? Yeah, I think I already talked about this matter. What is the difference between Slack bots versus chatter bots apart from the obvious open source? So I think Slack is trying to attract companies, and a lot of companies are using Jabber protocol, and so that's also why Slack built a Jabber gateway, and they are trying to do stuff that's easier for people. So let's say, for example, HipChat. HipChat is speaking about themselves that they are already ChatOps chat, and you just install HipChat and you don't have to do anything else. But at the end of the day, it's just something that somebody prepared for you, and you can use it only in a way, and only in a way he thought he would use it. So it's a good start. I think it's a good start, but at the end of the day, you really end up writing your own if you start digging down the hole. So. Does using bot for remote execution? Yeah, can you clarify this question? I'm not sure what.
I think it's the same one that we asked the last time.
Well, does the using? Okay, so maybe well. Well, never mind. So yeah, if you are shy, we can have a chat afterwards. And yeah, well, I'm not saying that this is 100% secure, but in the computer world, nothing is. And you always are dealing, when you look at security, I think you are always dealing with what effort would you use and what vulnerables from what you get. So yeah, if you can always do like two-factor even on SSH because your private key might be compromised. So yeah, but I think nobody, or at least in like, let's say, web development, there are only maybe few people does it. So I would say that the more security you have, then it's probably more difficult to operate the system. I think security is hard. So so did you clarify with the person?
Yeah.
Did you clarify with the person?
No, I didn't clarify. However, I need to say that I think we're almost out of reasonable questions. We're we're also out of time. So thank you, Richard.
You're welcome.